Now begins the next section for the skill tree. If you ever want to see extra info about each ability and what they do, just go back to your settings and see what the Show Advanced tooltip does. Example, if I hover over Shadow Cascade and I do Show Advanced tooltip, here's all the extra information for bleeding, poison, incapacitated, exposed, hemorrhaging, and advantage gain. Starting from level 1, you will have Ambusher perk, the bottom right corner of your HUD. To open this, it's K. Ambusher. When attacking targets from behind, you gain 10% bonus crit. You're going to want to backstab your enemies all the time, so movement is very important to stay behind them. Stealth. Gain stealth. Enter a powerful form of stealth, becoming fully invisible. Other characters may detect you based on the perception and stealth level, as well as your distance and angle to them. Your allies will always be able to see you. Movement speed is reduced by 20%. Stealth will fade upon most offensive ability activation or if the damage taken exceeds 5% of your max health while the effect is active. In either case, stealth's cooldown will trigger again. You will gain advantage upon use. What you can do is click and drag this to your UI. You can either click it or keybind it. Stealth can only be activated when out of line of sight of more than 15 meters away from all non-allies. This includes NPCs in the world map as well as enemy players. How do you know if you're in range to stealth? Well, the stealth will be visible on your UI, whereas if you're in range of the mob, it de-aggros, but also this red highlight is around the enemy. That means they see you, and this will highlight everything on your UI that sees you. And sometimes the mob looks away, that you can trigger stealth because you're out of its peripheral range. Something to note while in stealth is it lasts 60 seconds. You don't have to keep spamming it. Secondly, you'll know that you have advantage gained in two ways. You have bright blue glowing hands, or purple hands, or you look at your UI, and this red bar right here, magenta pinkish bar around your UI plate, fills up. Half a bar, the bottom half, is one advantage. A full bar is full advantage, meaning 2 charges. You will be able to get 2 charges once you hit level 10 right here in the passives. At level 1, you also get Stab. This is your main bread and butter. Stab. Deal 125% pierce damage. Consume advantage to deal a bonus 125% pierce damage and apply exposed. Backstab. This ability deals 50% more damage from behind your target. Stab's cooldown is halved when used from stealth. Good to know. So, there are 2 abilities baked into the stab ability. You have the frontal stab, but then you also have backstab. This will change if you're in front of or in back of the target. So here, I'm behind. I can actually use the backstab. If I go in front of it in this mode, it changes into stab. See how it changes here? You'll know whether you're in front of or behind. There's also another indicator from Acrobatic Strike, but we'll get to that later. So you see, you always want to be behind this target, or enemies in general, which can be really helpful between classic and action mode. This is why it's important to get comfortable in both modes, because you don't want to be clicking and dragging to go behind the target. You just want to like be there. You just want to be there. Level 5, you'll have Dash. When you have advantage, Dash is converted to a quicker dash that only costs 30 stamina. And how do you test this? Well, your stealth gives you advantage each time you enter stealth. You'll get advantage from there. You can either be in combat and roll dodge from your stamina window. And I recommend just going from the middle row all the way up, then to the right, then to the right row all the way up, and then to the left row all the way up. One way or another, as you level up the game, you're going to get everything, and you're going to have extra skill points anyways. Now, dash. If you're not stealth and you don't have advantage, you're just going to do the roll. And it costs 50 stamina to roll right here. I'm going to let my stamina recharge to pass 50. And then I'm going to stealth, and I'll have 1 charge of dash. So here I have 1 advantage. My hand is glowing, but also my UI right here. If I dash, there's the dash from this passive right here. It only costs 30 stamina, and it's quicker. You can combo this from height to bunny hop. You can jump dash and get plenty of space, but also conserve your stamina. The game is buggy, so it's a mixture of if you jump dash or dash jump. Sometimes it works amazing, and sometimes it works buggy. I have found that getting closer with dashing and then jumping, you can gain more distance. You see, like it like stops me a lot of times, but if I jump dash, that happens the same way. So see what feels more comfortable to you. And then at level 10, you can get advantage to stack twice, meaning you can spend it on the dash, you can spend it on other abilities and combos from stealth. So I think it's always good to just, whether you're roaming the open world or on mounts and whatnot, just get your advantage to full. Here it's on 7-second cooldown, right? We're going to have other abilities later. We have 1. And then now we have 2. But you have 60 seconds, I believe, of advantage on your UI right here. That's a full minute of decision making you can do in PvP or PvE. If you're roaming the open world without having advantage, you're kind of slacking on rogue just because you can min-max and shit, you know? Or in PvP. Likewise, we're going to use our broke rogue mount, okay? So, say you're just roaming the open world on mount. Just stop really quick, pop stealth and advantage, and just roam the world with advantage ready, because maybe your stack or your party needs to fight instantaneously, and you're not going to have time to get 2 stacks of advantage by the time you get to the zone. You should already be prepared to figure out what kind of fight you're getting into. Like if I want to go on this Raven, I already had 2 stacks of advantage ready. Rather than like having 0 stacks, stealth, do some other advantage gaining ability, then have enough points. Just preparation is key. Alright, now we go on to the active abilities. I would say these are passives. Here are your actives. As you level up, you'll find things are better than others at early levels and better than other things at later levels. It's all subjective. Use the rogue however you want. This is how I play rogue, and you guys are here to learn, so I hope you take something away from this. I would take Acrobatic Strike, and this is one of my first advantage gaining abilities. Acrobatic Strike quickly strikes your target 3 times, 33% physical damage while flipping to the other side of them. Puts your target off balance. They cannot move or rotate for about 3 seconds. And this can increase depending if you have duration, disable duration increased from your weapons. If your target is facing you upon activation, gain advantage. So, not only can we get advantage from stealth, we can also get advantage if we're in front of the target and then use Acrobatic Strike. You'll know you're in front of it because Acrobatic Strike will glow. So if you're in a crazy cluster of players or PvE, you can just kind of rotate around the mob and you'll see that advantage will glow. The bottom left corner, you guys see right here. If you're in front of it, it's glowing. I go to the left. It's not glowing. It's glowing. It's not glowing. Okay? So, what I want to do is be in front of it. I didn't spec into it. It's right there. Boom. Drag into it. Over there. So let's just go over here, use our dash to like mobility. There's a good example of like jump dashing with B-hops. So here's the wolf, right? And advantage. Cool. Now because I acrobatic striked in front of it, it couldn't move for 3 seconds, as well as it couldn't rotate. And I also got advantage. This is your bread and butter. If you ever want to see advanced tooltips, you just hit the keybind, whatever yours is. Mine is / advantage. You gain the advantage. Certain attacks will consume this buff. Okay. Next ability. I love going kick early. Very important CC. My kick is bound to 3. Why? Because I love having things CC'd and playing unfair as a rogue. Kick. Deals 30% bludgeon damage and applies tripped. Consumes advantage to instead hit all targets within melee range and apply tripped for 1 second. They cannot move or act for about 3 seconds. So, this will cost advantage when you use it. It's highlighted. See, it's like golden on my screen. If I spend my advantage, which I don't think I can, just because I have no abilities right now, it will be like a lesser version. So if it's off, I can trip 1 person, but if its advantage is on, I can trip up to all targets. And trip. There's the tripped indicator, and it's tripped. Because it was tripped, I can actually stealth away before it gets up if the disengage was not good enough. It's a pretty long cooldown, so you want to be very confident in your decision making when it comes to deciding, are you going in for the trip or are you saving it for peel? Next, I recommend getting feint for the invasion increase. You can dash behind the target with a fainting strike, dealing 70% physical damage. You gain guile, which is evasion increased by 20%. On your next weapon combo finisher, gain advantage. This lasts 7 seconds. This is like my evasion, but I like to combo it with other abilities because you can cycle this pretty quick. I'll show you that in combos later in the video. On my UI, I bind feint to R. Very easy space and spot for me to spam and get off, because later in the video you'll see that backstab resets the cooldown of feint. Whoa. So what does this look like? You walk up to your target, feint. Here's the range of it right here, give or take. I'm going to feint, and then I'm going to get guile, which will give me 20% more evasion on my UI. And you'll see this hover right here next to my UI. So R, boom, guile. Evasion increased by 20%. On your next weapon combo finisher, gain advantage. Cool. So what's that look like? Well, let's go to our defenses, physical defenses. And let's go to right here, physical evasion, physical disable evasion. So not only does my dodge give me evasion, right, in that window right here, it jumps about 130%. Can also use feint, and then it stacks, right? I'm gaining evasion from feint. Same thing with my magic evasion. Let's find a mob. And I don't have a cloak right now because I had to drop citizenship to vote. But we have like Winstead cloak. And I'll explain my weapon choices later, where I have a longbow already for PvP. I have a Forsaken shortbow for PvE, some PvP, but I also have a strength spellbow. And basically all these are already at 20, about to be 25. 25 longbow, my spellbook, 23. And my short bow, 18. So just a bunch of different options in PvE and PvP, depending on the situation, because I need to either cleave or I need to do single target DPS, which I'll explain later in the video. So, we're looking at magic evasion here. We're going to use feint. Evasion. I'm at 5%, 14%, now I'm at 34% because of feint. Now, feint's going to fall off, and I'm back down to 14.3%. This is very powerful because you can cycle the feint once again with backstab to have almost 100% uptime on that feint, and you're guaranteed to have 20% more evasion while you're fighting. But then now add that, plus comboing in your dashes and evasions to keep that other evasion window up from, say, stamina. Right here. After dodging, gain 15% increased evasion. Right here. Right? Big. So you can get really high evasion extremely quickly. The next ability is called Flurry. I have this on Shift 3 because it's more of a buff, but also I like spamming it. So Shift 3 feels intuitive to me to spam Flurry. Quickly strike your target for 50% phys damage. Gain Flurry. Your physical attack speed increases by 10%. It lasts for 6 seconds and can be extended up to 12 seconds. Weapon combo finishers grant a charge of Flurry. Flurry does not interrupt your weapon combo. What do they mean by weapon combos? Well, in the bottom left corner, where I could probably move this like this, and I have this just keybound to like parentheses so I can move everything. Here's your combos. If you hover over this, you change. For me, it's tilde right here, top of the screen. These are your combos. You probably read through these and get familiar with your weapons of what hits cause your extended finishers and deadly finishers to work. Now, this is for the short bow combo. This is for the dagger combo. We can all see that it triggers pierce. We can all see that it helps with bullseye. This will change depending on what you have here. We'll go through that later. So, Flurry. This ability is pretty cool because if you use it once in range, Shift 3, you'll see I get the buff right here. Flurry, physical attack speed increased by 10%. 10%. Last 6 seconds can be extended up to 12 seconds. And I have 3 charges of it. Right? So it's 2 swings, swing, slash right there. 164. Now, because I use it twice, I have 1 charge left. I'm going to let this charge up to 3 times, and you can spam it to either get burst windows off, or you can use it once and use it for the 10% increased buff attack speed, and then go about all your other combos. Now, it recharges over 20 seconds for 3 charges. 1 full minute to get 3 charges. I like to use Flurry in between the rotation of my other abilities because it does not interrupt anything else. So here I have 3 charges of Flurry. I can go up to this. Shift 3, Shift 3, Shift 3. There were 3 big hits, and I can use it actually one more time because I don't think I did. There. Shift 3, boom, boom, boom. Maybe we want to trip it and then finish off with a backstab kind of thing. That's Flurry. You kind of flourish it in with your combos. Next up, it's called Lacerate. Lacerate deals 75% physical damage and applies bleeding. If the target is already bleeding, instead applies hemorrhaging. Well, what is hemorrhaging? If you hit your advanced tooltip button, hemorrhaging suffers 20% bleed damage every 0.5 seconds, lasts 5 seconds, versus bleeding, which is 15% bleed damage every second. So it's just a lot more damage output per second. And it's also faster. You also gain advantage sorry, you consume advantage to instead hit all targets in frontal melee range for 150% fizz damage with normal melee AoE fall off. I like having that on my other thumb keybind because it's really close and it feels like it's a swipe on my key. What this looks like is here. So I have advantage. It's highlighted here in the bottom left corner. And then I'm going to thumb mouse button and slash them both. Let's do this. Let's go out of here. Let's get them both close to me. And there's that and slash. Now they're both bleeding. So now I have one advantage. And I could kick, I could re-stealth, I could feint, I can go the other direction. A lot of different options. I can do this, feint and dash away. I can trip. I can go back into stealth. I get advantage back, and now I have lacerate again, which will cause more bleed. It's really good for a group AoE, not so proactive in 1v1, although it's a good early game. And what I mean by that is don't just spam your advantage whenever it's up. Get comfortable at finding a rhythm to playing against your enemies, but also predicting and being reactive versus proactive in your toolkit. Not everything needs to be pressed exactly when it's up. Okay? Lacerate specifically, because you don't need to AoE if there's just one target. But you might want to apply hemorrhaging in that situation. You know what I mean? Like, know why you're pressing the button. Moving forward. This is a good time to get Thump. Thump is a kick or interrupt for silencing casters. Deals 50% bludgeon damage, so it does apply damage. Applies daze, and what is daze? Magical casting speed reduced by 25% for 8 seconds. Duration can be extended by 20 seconds by subsequent applications. Silence. Cannot use abilities. Lasts 4.2 seconds. Advantage. You have gained advantage, which we all use for our combos. I like having this button on V because that is what I use during my World of Warcraft days to like kick. So what I'm going to look for is a cast from this guy. Waiting here, we're just going to let it hit me. And then I'm going to wait to use my thump when it has a... There we go. So it was fast as fuck, but because I had advantage, he is dazed, but also silenced. And what you're looking for is to get this off before the cast bar of the cleric or bard or other player gets their, as you know, their cast off. So here we're waiting. It's going to do maybe another one. There, axe swipe. It still went off. I think my thump missed, but I was looking to get the thump off. This ability is very good leading into double strike later in the game because you can use it twice, or stab twice, or lacerate twice. That's later in the video. So thump is your all-around like casting bar, CC, crowd control. We can move around to throw, which is throws a spinning blade at your target to deal 100% pierce damage and apply bleeding for 6 seconds or up to 12 seconds on full health targets. Really good if you're targeting full health. It's a good opener. Throw bounces up to 2 times to other nearby enemies, dealing lesser damage with each bounce. I like to bind 4 to my throw, for it feels comfortable to be able to spam it. It's within range of like my WSAD keys and 1, 2, 3, 4. I can hit this really easily. So it has a range of 30 meters. If I'm further than 30 meters, it will gray out right here. Bottom of the UI, if I'm in range, it'll highlight. So if I use it at full health, if I hit the enemy that's at full health, they will apply bleeding, and I'm pretty sure they're also slowed or staggered. Just bleeding, never mind. But it might be the slowest from, I think, my other weapons here. Yeah. It can proc from, I think, these right here. Snare, wound, deadly finisher. If you guys want to look into this, we'll test it though later in the video. Find out. Stick around. So that's throw. Use it once. It's bleeding. Right, you can just backstab, do whatever you want to do. Cool. Throw can lead into two other options. Unstable compound, which is great for AoE, ZVZ, and large-scale PvE, if you're pulling tons of mobs and leveling, because it spreads the burn damage really easily. So unstable compound is really good for cleaving and AoE. If throw hits 2 or more targets, the final target is afflicted with unstable compound. Backstabbing, weapon combo finishers, or killing the target will cause an explosion to hit nearby enemies for 125 fire damage and apply burning for the same amount. Burning means deals fire damage every second. It lasts 8 seconds or up to 24 seconds based on total applied burn. So maybe a mage buffs you with enchanted fire weapon and you can do even more burn damage, you know what I mean? So here's 2 enemies. I'm gonna spec into unstable compound and it should bounce into both. So we're here, back away. Let's hit this guy. Now they're both bleeding. And there's the burn combust, right? Burning, deal fire damage every second. Really good if you just want to AoE cleave and get the mob DPS output higher. Ricochet. Throw's base damage is increased by 25%, and throw can now bounce up to 3 additional targets, which is huge in ZVZ because you can spread this burn, but you can also spread this poison damage later. So we should see 25% higher DPS on throw. 256, that's pretty high for like a long range, like poke, you know? You can do like throw, like eventually you can do like double throw with expanded tool belt. Throw, poison. And it's a pretty high burst. Moving to the left side of the UI, we can expand FEINT. There's 2 options here. Backstab resets the cooldown of FEINT, which was our #1 ability, or if FEINT is used within melee range of your target, you will instead strike them and flip away. If you have this AGILE ability on, when you're in range of a target, if I can find one, you'll see that this FEINT changes to a different icon. So, if you are spec'd into AGILE, when you are within melee range, you'll see that the UI icon actually changes to know that you can use this ability in the spec'd version. For example, if I walk up to this wolf, here's FEINT's normal icon, but now I'm going up to melee range. It's now this back step icon. See how it changes with when I'm in range? Further, closer. Further, closer. What this looks like is this. Backstep. And you get space. Oh god. Sorry, wolf. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Alright, we fight this to the death. With the abilities that we have learned. Backstab. Slice them all. Acrobatic strike. Backstab. Cleave. Shift 3. Good fight. Good fight. Yo, look at my pearly white teeth. Holy crap. Also, fun tip. Your character only smiles when you do that. Or there's like 3 dances. Look at this. No smile. He looks very serious. Dancing. Dance again. Second dance. No smile. Very serious. Third dance. RNG. No smile. Fourth dance. No smile. Fifth dance. Nope. 6th dance. Nope. 7th dance. Look at that smile right there, chat. Look at that. Look at that. Did you know you could do that? If you didn't know that, like and subscribe. Or drop a comment for that smile. Because I hope you guys are all smiling as you learn a lot more about rogues. Back to Agile. If Feint is used within melee range of your target, you will instead strike them and flip away. This is really good to get space going into Shadow Step. Although I don't really use it too often, I spec out of this, and I love to take Devious, which is Backstab, resets the cooldown of Feint, which is this ability that gives you 20% more evasion. See where I'm going with this? The double wombo combo. And then if you guys and girls go up here into Ruthlessness, and you have Stab and Lacerate has no cooldown with users within 2 seconds of advantage, OMG, we're going to learn some shit. We're going to learn some shit. So, Backstab resets the cooldown of Feint. What does that look like? Well, let's go into Stealth. Let's Feint and Backstab, and this should pop up again, even though it's a 15-second cooldown. So, ready? Feint. Backstab. Feint's back up. Yippee. Let's Feint again. But if I don't have Backstab up, I'm not going to use it, because it won't be up. So, Feint, Backstab. Look at that. Feint's up again. And if there were more mobs, I could Feint again, and then Backstab. And continue the cycle. So, that concludes the first section of our skilled talent tree, the bottom half. We went through passives 1 through 10, levels 1 through 10, as well as the bottom section. If none of this made sense, go back and rewatch these chapters on the specific abilities as they are chaptered, so that you can master each ability as the combos grow in complexity. We are now going to move on to the middle section of our skill tree.